Good morning, everybody. Morning. My name is Sharisa Lemhana. I am the co-founder of Feel the Future Community Health Coaching and Consulting. Super excited to be here. I'm going to scoot this over here if you don't mind. I want to be close to the computer so I can click. Just a little background on me. I've worked in the field of human services for over 17 years. Super passionate about it, love working with communities. I have been on both sides of this, meaning that I have lived experience, having been a youth who needed services, a mother who needed services, to now working in the field and becoming, I guess, a human services expert-ish kind of person. I've worked in every part of the field pretty much, and I have my master's in community health and prevention science, and I am also a theater person and film person. We have a documentary that is touring the country right now called Silence on the Streets, and it's a focus on how the opioid crisis impacts inner city communities. All right, and the other individual who's not here is my husband, David Hanna. We are both co-founders of Feel the Future. All right, so this is what we will discuss today. I hope some of you don't mind getting up for me because I have one interactive exercise, and then after that, we'll get into the meat and potatoes of the 8 dimensions of wellness. How many of us are familiar with the 8 dimensions of wellness? One person? Okay. So this is fresh for us? Yay! I'm excited. Okay, awesome. All right, so we're going to talk about working directly with the community, teaching community health, and some strategies and ways to think about what that looks like. I know a lot of us are already doing this, so I may be preaching to the choir a little bit, but some of these just may be reminders for some of us. And again, we'll get into the 8 dimensions of wellness. You will do your own wellness budget and find out where you are, where you measure up on that for yourself, and I will share some effective self-care tips. All right, so I wanted to start off with this quote. Health is not just about what you are eating, it's also about what you're thinking and what you're saying. All right, so just to break the ice a little bit, what was your favorite childhood snack and your favorite snack now? Who'd like to go? Just popcorn it. Favorite snack when you were a kid?
I love
Gummies.
gummies.
Any type of gummies? Yes. And what about now? What do you like now? Okay, awesome. Anyone else? Yeah.
My favorite was Twizzlers.
Twizzlers?
I still sneak a Twizzler every now and then. I can't get away. It says low-fat snack on there, so I just go along with that. And my favorite snack now is probably like veggie chips.
Yeah, exactly. Anyone else? Yes.
My favorite snack was Oreos.
Ooh, Oreos. How about Oreo ice cream?
Yep.
No, just the Oreos. Yeah, still your favorite?
No, cheese.
Cheese. Okay, nice. Yes.
When I was younger, the snack is discontinued, but it's called Yogos. That's like slim.
Oh.
Anything that's like chips and dip.
Yeah. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. So we'll touch a little bit on physical health. That falls under our physical health category. All right, so teaching the community about health. Oh, I didn't share my favorite snack. Right. So my favorite snack growing up was Apple Jacks. I could eat Apple Jacks breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Love Apple Jacks, but now I love apples. All right. So I love a good apple. All right. So understanding community health is defined differently across individuals, families, and cultures. Exposure to health education varies widely across communities, as we know. And health literacy levels differ and affect how information is understood and used. Access to healthcare is uneven, and some individuals rarely or never see a doctor. We know this to be the case for many of our communities that we serve. And community context and lived experience shape how information is received and applied. So this is why it's so important to learn so much about our community so that we can reach them more effectively. Education is giving people information and knowledge. Motivation is the reason someone wants to take action. People can understand something but still not feel ready to change, and motivation is influenced by personal goals, stress, and environment. Both education and motivation are needed for real behavior change. How many of us have a community health education program where we work or are doing so? Wonderful. So I'm sure we are not unfamiliar with the fact that there has to be different ways and strategies to reach people. It's not just disseminating information or handing out flyers for them to come or just doing a PowerPoint presentation. We have to do a little bit more. Use simple, clear language. Always try to provide definitions for things. We can't just assume that people just know, right? Certain things, certain words. Be passionate about the topic and the people. This really matters. People can feel that, right? They can tell if we're into this or if we're really knowledgeable about the thing, whatever we're talking about. Make it fun and interactive, not just talking. I know this all too well working directly with not only the community over these 17 years, but being an instructor. I teach as an adjunct professor, and I have to do a lot of entertaining while I'm talking. So it can't just be standing and talking. It has to be more for the material to really stick. And for them to make the information their own. So finding ways for them to also teach the class back. That's another wonderful strategy that's been really effective. Connect it to real life. Make it relevant, right? And give easy steps people can use right away. So what does good health mean to you? How would you define good health? What would you say is good health for you? Yeah.
For me, I am old.
You were.
I'm older.
Okay.
And I have I'm almost 50 and I have a 8-year-old. So for me, good health starts with my mental being.
Yes.
And it goes down into what I put in my body and how I fuel my body and like the activity that I do.
Wonderful. Yes, that's great. Anyone else? What's good health mean? Yes. Yes.
I recently learned that if you're really stressed, you can develop an autoimmune disease.
Yes.
And I'm
Yes.
stressing about not being stressed. So like I would say like that's kind of like
Yeah.
my mental health and like a little bit to your body and
Yes. Yes. This is so true. Yes. Stress can stress you out. It's really interesting. All right, so here's how I like to define good health. It's a few things. I feel like it involves you being able to set yourself up for a longer life as best as possible. It's having a fulfilling life. It's having a fun life, a life you enjoy. Having a purposeful life, enjoying being in your body. These are all parts of good health to me. All right, so these are the 8 dimensions of wellness. We have emotional, spiritual, intellectual, physical, environmental, financial, occupational, and social. All of these pieces are connected, okay? But what I love about the 8 dimensions is that it's a framework that we can follow and implement in our own lives and also impart this wisdom to the people we serve. Just this past weekend, my husband and I held a retreat for a group of peers, peer support specialists, and individuals who themselves are in the early phases of recovery. And we talked about the 8 dimensions of wellness, and it was like light bulbs going on. But parts of it was they felt really good about the fact that they were addressing some of these things already. So it was more confirmation and more encouragement. And then the other part of it was, oh man, I've got to work on these other areas. I did not realize that finances played a huge role in my health. It does. So we're going to do a little activity. I need 8 volunteers. Can I get 8 people? I'm looking at Jeff State over there. If I could, that would be awesome. So I have 8 strings. I've got 8 strings. Okay. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see, 6, 7. One more. You got field on yours. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We just need one more. Okay, hold on. Okay, thank you. So here you go. You're gonna hold that one. Here we go. All right. Let's get you over here. That way we can scoot our web down some. Yeah, okay, perfect. All of our eight. Okay, so you can hold the end of the phone. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we're nice and balanced, right? This is balanced health. We've got all the 8 pieces nicely intact. But now, can you all see that? There, we have a web, right? We've got a web. This is our wellness web. I'm going to assign you wellness area. All right, so we have emotional wellness, occupational wellness, financial wellness, environmental wellness, physical wellness, intellectual wellness, social wellness, spiritual. Okay. All right, everyone remember their wellness? Okay. All right, so here's what has happened. You lost your job, so financial wellness, you can let go of your string and step back. You got into an argument with a family member. Emotional wellness, you can drop your string and step back. Physical wellness, you had a really bad cold, you can drop your string and step back. All right, are there any parts, any of you wellnesses, do you think this impacts you in any way? Yes. Occupational, for sure. Step back. Look at what our web has done. Yeah, it's dropped, right? That it's not nice and intact and balanced. And how does the rope feel? Light, loose, right? Easy to come apart. This is instability. Thank you so much for participating. Yes. So I just wanted to give you a quick example, a visual of what this looks like and what it feels like. Okay, everything is connected. Even though it may not seem like that on the surface, even if it's in the smallest way, it's all connected. All right, when one part of wellness is affected, the other parts can feel it too. If someone loses a job, it may affect their stress, health, relationships, housing, or sense of purpose. When one area is impacted, the others are impacted. Just driving that point home again. All right, so we're now going to dig into each one. Let's break down each one of these. So occupational wellness is developing a sense of purpose through work, volunteering, or daily structure that supports stability and growth. Did you know that having a meaningful work life is important? We're not robots. If we just show up to work and we just do the work over time, that will impact our health. Now, we need to have jobs. We've got to pay bills, right? We know this. But long term, if we are so far out of alignment with what our joy is and our purpose is with those 8 hours a day, trust and believe burnout will creep up. Trust and believe you will be impacted. Your mental health will be impacted. I see that that's a theme here, that we really care about our mental health. It will be impacted. So it's very important that we pour into this cup. This is essential. And we do the best that we can. Of course, we have to go to school. We have to do all of these things. We have to get our certifications and things like that to be able to level up maybe in the field. Or maybe we find ourselves needing to try different roles. But whatever it is, the goal should always be alignment. Good alignment. All right, intellectual wellness. Staying curious and engaged by learning new skills, challenging old thought patterns, and creating healthier ways of thinking. This includes pursuing education, playing games, and getting involved in the arts or having arts be a part of your life in some way, even in the smallest way. It could be jamming some music in the car when you're driving, anything that gives you a little bit of joy. We need to be learning. We need to be lifelong learners. This is what we are. We're human beings, and we are here to learn. If we're not learning and we're not actively exercising those brain muscles, impact our health negatively. We end up having negative health outcomes. So it's important that we're constantly doing things that engage our mind. If at any point anyone has a thought that they want to share, you can speak out to during the presentation. Arts. I am a huge proponent for arts. As I told you, I'm a theater person and I'm a film person. I just know that for me personally, this became my medicine. This is what helped me when I was in my struggles, when I was someone who needed services and things like that. This is what got me over the hump, in addition to education and having a great community around. Just listening to music, just dancing a little bit, or just doing some sort of art activity in some way can really improve your health. Financial wellness. Building healthy money habits and stability to reduce stress and support long-term independence. Having a sense of control in this area reduces chaos, panic, and stress. If any of you are working with individuals who are in recovery or anything like that, this is definitely a big conversation, right, in that space, because that chaos piece, right? This is one area, if we don't, it's very, sometimes for some of our vulnerable populations, it's difficult to get the ID, social security card, and birth certificate. If you don't have those three, you can't get the job. If you can't get the job, you can't take care of these other areas in your life, which creates this really difficult instability to live within. Then creates panic, then creates stress and chaos. And it's a cycle. And it's hard to get out of that cycle. I know firsthand.
As well, it becomes environmental, like
Boom.
right now, we talked about.
Yes.
Prices, inflation has increased so much.
Absolutely.
So financial wellness is not just your issue, but it's environmental.
It's a macro
based on-
issue. Yes. Go ahead, finish that thought.
No, it's just
Yeah.
based on what's
Yeah.
happening in the world. Again, the homeless population has changed, stressors have changed. After the pandemic, I think that's a good explanation. Financial wellness has never regained itself since COVID. So many people were out of work.
Yes.
Businesses closed. So
Absolutely.
therefore, we're living in the 10-year streams of environmental downfall
Mhm.
and financial, now we're in a war. So again, we see financial wellness in a household of two that could, or one that could have a changing increase of 20% on a daily basis. Whether it's groceries, gas, I filled up on the way here, $90 for a small car.
Oh,
Which at Christmas time is only 50. So again, it's financial wellness.
absolutely. That extra $40 makes a difference, for sure. And I'll tie this back with grants and your point there. This is a macro issue, right? So when funding is cut short, when organizations can't get the grants that maybe they used to get to sustain themselves and to support the community, now we have holes in pockets. Now we have gaps, and people are not getting the services that they used to get. So this creates another cycle for them. And everyone is impacted, from leadership to staff to the people we serve. So this is very important, and we all should be concerned about financial wellness. Environmental wellness, right? This is financial wellness is a part of that. All of these are connected, certainly highlighted here. So navigating, managing workplace, home, and social surroundings. Also an emphasis on social determinants of health. Are we all familiar with social determinants of health? Great. Yep, where you live, sleep, eat. Live, sleep, eat, work, and play. Your physical area, where you live, your zip code matters. The conditions that you're living in, the type of air you're breathing, right? The access to food that you have. All of these things make a difference. Also, your immediate space. Do we have a lot of clutter? Do we have a lot of junk around us, right? Sometimes it's easy for that to happen because we're so busy. But having space that you can move around about and it being orderly is very helpful for our mental health, right? Emotional wellness. The ability to stay grounded and responsive while being in and creating spaces that feel safe, stable, and free from triggers as best we can. We all have triggers, and some of them come from trauma. Okay, so doing your best to make sure the environments you put yourself in is free from those triggers, right? This is part of self-care.
And that's hard these days.
It is.
It's very hard.
It's everywhere. Yes. So here's some ways that trauma can affect your life. And again, also thinking about the communities that we serve, there are triggers, right? Emotions. People are living in survival. So experiencing a trauma can put you in survival mode, trying to just make it day by day, right? If you're in a really difficult work environment, you just hunker down and you're just in survival mode now, which that over a period of time becomes a trauma. Flashbacks. After trauma, often flashbacks occur which can feel stressful and debilitating. Energy is a big one, and we're going to get into that. But that is impacted, right? It'll either reduce or send us into a space in our mind where we're using up a ton of energy, right? We're burning ourselves out and crashing. Change. Sometimes people have difficulty with change. It could be a little bit traumatic for some people, right? Especially if they've been doing something for a long time. Healing could be a trigger. Did you know that? If you go through healing, there could be something triggering about that because it's part of change, right? And then growth, just growth alone. But growth is needed. We all need to be growing, right? And that is all part of trauma. Have a wellness plan. A wellness plan is just simply a couple of go-tos that you have when you feel triggered, okay? I always say if somebody gets you out of pocket, you need to find a way to get yourself back in the pocket, okay? So that could be that you take a walk, do some breathing, maybe listen to music, whatever it is to get yourself from a 10 down to a 2. Feelings are much like waves. We can't stop them from coming, but we can choose which ones to surf. I really like this quote. And then spiritual wellness, finding purpose, meaning, or inner peace, whether through faith, values, or personal reflection. Doesn't always, not everyone is part of a religion, doesn't have to be a religious thing, but having that meaning and that sense of purpose is so important. And hope, oh, that's the biggest one to me, especially in human services. If we don't have hope, what are we doing? What are we doing all this for? So we have to have hope, and we want to instill that hope in the individuals we serve. Social wellness, building safe, supportive relationships that encourage accountability, connection, and a sense of belonging. This can help us, and it can hurt us a little bit, right? Depending on who we're spending a lot of our social time with. So thinking about this, ways that we can make sure that we're not always in a sense of loneliness. Loneliness also contributes to negative health outcomes. So it's important that we are finding ways to be social and have social wellness. I know some of us are introverts, right? But there's a lot to be said with being in a room full of people. So like even just going to the gym, everyone's focused on the same issue. They're trying to work on their wellness. You may not be talking to people, but you're in this shared community that has this shared interest. Yeah, very important piece of the pie. Yeah, loneliness is a public health issue, especially for our seniors, right? So something to always keep in mind. Physical wellness, a big one, right? So caring for your body through rest, nutrition, movement, hygiene, managing doctor's appointments to help you rebuild and maintain strength and stability. When we're working with the people that we're working with in the community, this is something that we always want to encourage and create opportunities for. So whether it's a wellness day at the park, or maybe it's just a small 30-minute activity that encourages deep breathing, or maybe it's yoga. Maybe it's partnering with a yoga studio and having individuals do that, do meditation, stretching. It doesn't have to be high impact. Did you know that low impact or soft work is just as effective as being in CrossFit and doing all this lifting and flexing your muscles? It's just as effective. Marching in place is just as effective, right? For 5 minutes. All you need is 5 minutes a day because you build the momentum as you go. So this is just a quick tip about walking. So after 2 minutes, you get going, your blood starts to circulate. After 5 minutes, your mood lifts. You get a little bit of dopamine there, and then after 10 minutes, your body begins to break down stress hormones like cortisol, right? After 15 minutes, your blood sugar level drops, which is good for your health. And then after 30 minutes, fat burning starts, if that's something that you want to do. And then after 45 minutes, negative thoughts start to dissolve and you become more relaxed. We can't promise that all negative thoughts dissolve, but it improves that part of the mind, right? Where we some of us may have ruminating thoughts, or the people that we work with may have ruminating thoughts. It cuts that down some, cuts that noise. And then after 60 minutes, your body rewards you with happiness hormones such as dopamine, right? Walking is a bit of a miracle medicine, right? Again, soft work is just as effective as hard work. So we want to think about, where do I need to place more of my energy? What areas of wellness do I need to focus on just a little bit more, right? We think about this for ourselves, and we help the clients we serve think about this too. And here's some easy ways to fill up a more than one. Something is better than nothing. A win is a win, no matter how small. If you can do one thing in one area, that's accomplishment for the day, right? The goal is to feel accomplished. If you can feel accomplished, again, this is just like working out small, it builds momentum. Optimism and positivity in each area doubles your positive health outcomes, right? The way you think about it, the positivity. And again, I'm always gonna say the arts, right? The arts are powerful healing force. Music, again, is a stress. So energy is the key. You can always make more energy, but you need enough energy to do that. So this must be managed daily. You wanna think about it like a budget. Right? It's like having a bank account, your wellness budget. You want to ask yourself, where am I investing my energy today? Where am I putting all of my attention? Here are some energy drainers. Automatic thoughts, and like I mentioned, ruminating thoughts, especially those of us who struggle with mental health or work with individuals who struggle with mental health. Does anyone not know what ruminating thoughts is? Everyone pretty much knows, right? It's like chewing gum. The flavor's gone, you still chewing? Yeah. This can suck up so much energy in a day, right? It's a tape that's just constantly going. Unconscious habits, frequently checking the phone, scrolling, constantly scrolling. It's actually draining your energy, right? Negativity drains, that's a quick drainer right there. Stress alone, low to no movement will actually zap your energy. Not having enough of that. Working out and having some movement adds money to the bank. Worry, anxiety, worrying about the past, present, or future. We definitely deplete some of that energy. A poor diet, eating majority ultra-processed food with little to no real food. That impacts our energy. Lack of sleep, a big one, that compounds. So if we're going nights and nights, only 3 hours of sleep, you best to believe it's going to impact your overall health, right? And toxic relationships, interaction situations, people, places, and things, these things can zap energy. I'm sure we know this already, right? But cortisol is made by the glands on the top of your kidneys and helps you to handle stress, and too much of it for too long can lead to exhaustion and burnout, weight gain, acne, and other health issues. So if we're constantly creating all of this cortisol in our bodies, it's wreaking havoc really on our bodies. I decided I was going to go to CrossFit. I wanted to look like how I looked when I was 25 years old, right? This was a couple of years ago. And I said, oh yeah, I'm just gonna work out, I'm gonna eat good, I'm gonna get back to my vegetarian diet. And do you know that I gained weight? It wasn't muscle weight. I was very puffy in the face. I could not sleep, and I had lots of headaches. And the culprit was me working out too hard. My body was creating too much cortisol. The doctor told me, you're creating way too much cortisol, you need to chill. So I needed to now turn my workouts into doing stretch and more relaxed, slow movement, as opposed to this heavy, intense movement. So everyone's body is different. And if you're producing too much cortisol, this is something you might want to talk to your doctor about to see what's the best strategy for you. Serotonin, mood chemical, mostly made in your gut, some of it is made in the brain, helps to regulate mood and sleep. Low levels can lead to low mood, irritability, and stress overload. So this is important to understand and to also educate our communities on. You ever have a day where the day has gone by, it was extremely stressful, but you're used to it, right? It's not a big deal, it's like, that's just another day. And you think about it like, you've got $5,000 in the bank. Then the next morning you wake up and you have $2, and you're like, what happened? You feel like, was I scammed? Like how this guy looks. Was I scammed? What just happened? It's because all of the unconscious stuff was happening, and that drained all of your energy. So you were already on fumes by 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock. You were already on E, and you were just trucking along, right? So this is why energy is so important, to maintain energy in each of those areas of wellness. You can't show up for your purpose, your family, your job, or your future if your body doesn't have the energy to carry you there. All right, so let's do a personal check-in. You don't have to share your score, right? But here's a QR code and here's the link. Let's go ahead and snap the QR code, and what will pop up is a wellness assessment, a wellness budget for yourself. And you'll do your own self-assessment, and then I'll go over what each of the scores mean. Once you're done, if you could just raise your hand a little bit to let me know.